Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Cinema.
And you out there, I'm speaking to you right now. You are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Euthia.
Euthia is a fantasy role-playing game published by Dia Games and Steamforged Games.
It plays from 1 to 4 players in 30 to 120 minutes per player.
Euthia is a scenario-based game, so it's not a campaign game like many other of these fantasy RPGs. This is a scenario-based game, so you can play it solo, you can play it multiplayer, there are cooperative scenarios, and there are competitive scenarios. Mostly in the game, depending on the scenario, you're going to play X amount of rounds, and usually when you're playing the competitive, it's the goal of the player to have the most reputation at the end of the game. There is basic ways to get reputation that you always get in every game, and there's going to be specific ways to get bonus reputation depending on the scenario that you are playing. As always, we're not going to go into a full rules breakthrough because this is a review, it's not a rules video, but I'm going to do a short overview so you understand what's going on if you haven't seen anything about the game before. On your turn, you are going to be moving around with this hero dude. Hello, I'm Mr. Maunder. I am a wizard and I like fire. That's the voice I made because, yes, I'm going to move around the map now. So he's going to move around on the map. On your turn, you're going to be using 3 action tokens. The action tokens can give you movement points or they can give you an action. So you can move around. I can use an action token to get 2 movement, for example. I will be moving around this map and interacting with the places that I end up on. There's 3 different actions and there's some free actions. You can find treasures, you can move through portals, you can interact with some elementals. These are things you can do which are free actions. But the actions that are available to you in the game is a mining action. Some spaces on the board, for example, this mountain over here, lets you mine when you draw a random mining token, which gives you a resource that you can either use for quests or you can sell it. Which brings me to the next action, which is a trade action, which you can do on some of these different trade locations. There you can sell items, you can buy different items depending on the location you are on. You can heal, you can also unlock different new abilities for your hero, depending on how much reputation you have gotten. You can unlock new spaces for abilities. You can basically interact with everything that evolves your character, gives them more life, gives them better gear. All of these things happens at the trade locations. And the last action you can do is the combat action. You have to be able to have a combat action whenever you move into somewhere where there is a animal, like a monster symbol. There's like a wolf, so I'm saying animal, but it's a wolf, a monstrous wolf, a big bad wolf that's trying to eat you. And then you have to do combat. We're going to talk more about combat later. But basically, if I go into combat in a 2-player game, you are going to be the monster and you're going to play cards to try to make it harder for me. Most of this game, when you do things, are based around rolling dice. You have 2 dice, but there's different ways to up your dice, to manipulate the dice. It's not only luck. We're going to talk more about all of these things, but that is a kind of brief, kind of long overview of what you do in the game. After X amount of rounds it's over, you're going to do scoring, and the player with the most points is going to be the winner. If it's not cooperative, then everybody can win if they want to, or they lose because they are losers.
The artwork and components looks really good. There are a lot of components in this game. I think you counted 38 punch boards?
Yes, it was
That's
a huge pile of punch boards, which means there's so many components.
Yeah, and without a organizer for this game, that will take some time to set up every time you will play this game. But I like the classic fantasy artwork in the game, and I think it's a crowded map.
Yes.
But I think for all the information it is here, I think it's fairly easy to see what's what. But it is an overload of information, especially the first time you play this game.
Yeah, and I feel like when the map is getting bigger, it is okay. I would not say it has amazing viewability, but it is okay to see. But you are putting the tokens down, and for example, the token that you the hero tokens that you have, when you put it on a mining location, that has a different rule than when you put it on a treasure location. So it's kind of hard to remember these things when you play, but it's not a big deal. It's just know that you will maybe have to scan around it. It's a good use of colors. It might be too much green, which makes it a bit harder to see. There's different levels of these are level 1. And then when those are done, you're going to start with level 2. And those have a different shade of green. So you can see like which are the newer tiles, which might have better monsters or better things for you to do on them. The game has...
A rule book.
Yes, shockingly enough, it has a rulebook. It is 40 pages long. It also have an appendix, which is like 30 pages long. And it has a scenario book, which is about 20 pages long. So the scenario book is okay. That's just like many different scenarios. And there's quite a few. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 different scenarios. So there's a lot of variability in the setup for that. The rulebook, this is one of the things that this game does very well. It has a very good rulebook. It's very easy to learn, even though there is like so many pages. As you can see, there is many pictures, many examples. It's a lot of text, but the text is like well laid out, and it's not any problems to understand. And then there is a solo mode as well, which means that the actual rules is only about 30 pages. I say only, but you know, a few pages are set up and stuff, so it's not that much. It also has a nice index at the back, which is very, very nice when you're trying to find out specific things, and it has a great appendix with basically everything, all of the pieces, what everything do, all of the players' abilities, all of the different items you can get, all of the different quests, everything is in here. So that is like one of the best things about the game. The game also has
a player aid. And it's singular in this case. Like the main player aid is very good. It's very, very thoroughly describing what's what. And we have had a lot of use for this. But I would love to have more of it because we've been sending it back and forth. But you have your own player aid for your hero abilities, which also is really nice.
I am Maldur, and this is my sheet with all of my special powers. And even a picture of me. I love having this picture of me here because it's my library with all my books in it.
I love Maldur.
Yes.
We have played this game with 2 players. We played the 2 of us, and it's taken us more than 90 minutes.
Yes.
But depending on the scenario.
Yeah, because the scenarios are wildly ranging from saying they will take 30 minutes per player. I don't know how that will happen. That will have to go very fast. Up to like 120 minutes per player. So if you play that with 4 people, that's going to be 8 hours of this game. I would not play this with more than 2 people. I haven't played it solo. I don't think I will play it solo, but I think that this is like a good solo game, like because there is not that much interaction. It's like rushing to getting things, but then again, it's like luck if you unwheel something that's like, oh, I can just go and get a treasure there. Oh, it's a new treasure. Oh, it's a new treasure. It happened to you.
Yeah, it did.
And all of these things, which makes it less viable to play it with many people for me. But if, of course, this is like who's it for already, but if your group loves these kind of things and they don't mind sitting around for 8 hours and doing this, you might like it. Let's talk about the gameplay. I'm going to say, I said in the beginning, when I heard about this game, when I got the game and I read the rules, I was thinking, this is Heroes of Might Magic. It's not 100% that, but it gave me that feeling of moving around on the map and wheels. Oh, there's a mine, I can go and get some resources. Of course, Heroes is very different because the fights are very different than all of that, but it gave me that. So I had some like, oh, I really want to play this now because it feeling like it giving me that kind of vibes. And before going into the feelings we had, I will have to say that it does implement those things quite good. You're just nodding because you have no idea about that game.
I played video games.
Yes.
But not that. But it gives me also that kind of video game vibe, absolutely.
So the gameplay is pretty straightforward. As I said, there's 3 actions. Let's talk a little bit about the actions and then maybe mostly the combat.
I like that you can choose one of these actions in the order that you want. And also if something happens, like I go up here and I unveil some new tiles, then I can change up what I wanted to do with these actions. And I also like that, okay, let's say that I didn't have a lot to do this round. I didn't get to trade, but I really want to trade next round. Then I can save one of these and use up the other, and I will fill this up. So now I have 4 possibilities. So you always can. I feel like it's nice that your actions don't go to waste if you don't have like the means to do them right now.
many of the actions, many parts of this game has randomness. For example, when you mine, you're gonna grab a mining token. That's gonna be a random thing. There is like some skills that lets you draw two and then choose one, which is nice. But most of them, I didn't feel like, oh, this was a bad one. It was mostly if there was a quest that needed a specific one.
Yeah.
That kind of felt a bit random. Like, oh, I got that one, so now I can trade it in for this quest instead of just selling it for 2 coins. And also when you do the trading, I like that there is a mitigation because there's going to be 4. Let's say I go to this. Malder is going to this red space right here, and he did kill the monster. Let's just say that.
And also ruined the map. Yeah.
Yes, and he's going to trade here so he can buy these items. But before I buy, or when I buy, I can discard all of them and fill in more. And if I want to do it more times, I can pay gold to do that. So if you're looking for specific things, and I know if you play the game many times, you start to learn which items are where, which gear is where. You can start looking for specific items, and I like that, so it doesn't feel completely random, that part. Do you have anything like to say about the mining? And also a bit about it. I want to talk a bit about the mining, the trading, which I already spoke about, but let me know what you feel about it. And also the exploration part of like the quests, the portals, the elementals, all of like the moving around part of the board.
I think it's cool things to explore. I think you want to do things a little specific order because you're always getting treasures or mining or interacting with these elementals. You're going to run out of space, so you have to go to
for your items. You
yes.
mean, yeah.
So you have to go to trade them sometime, and in that process you also probably have to find some monsters. So that feels like a nice balance. You want to do a little bit of everything, but at the same time, I love that it's easy.
Yeah.
So the turns are snappy.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, but at the same time, it isn't very exciting.
No.
I feel like.
No, I like the feeling of evolving my character. Like that is one of my favorite thing is to get more gear and feel like I'm powering up and then going into the combat. So let's talk about the combat.
Yeah.
Because like the flow of the game is really good, but the combat is one of the reasons I don't think I would want to play it with more than 2 people. Because when you go into the combat, and we talked about this in, for example, the game we talked about, Witcher.
Yeah, Witcher.
Yeah. Where you're like, you play, and then combat kind of stops the game.
Yeah.
And it happens here as well. I do like parts of the combat, but it is a big part of the game, and it's also kind of random again, and you can kind of lose. And if I lose a combat, and you win the combat because you're playing the monster, I'm giving you one of my pieces, like a player piece, and that's going to score you points.
Yeah.
And it's going to lose me points.
Yeah.
Which means like it's a double penalty. So for one combat, if I try to do a combat and I lose, it's going to be 5 points of a difference when you play 2 players. And then if I do it again, it's going to be even more points of a difference. So it's kind of, because it's kind of random, if you don't like bling out all your gear, and Malder is having like a plate armor and diamond things, he is gonna maybe lose. So let's just briefly talk about combat. You're gonna draw a monster card, and that's gonna tell what the other player is going to do. So you're gonna get some tokens which they can use for actions. You're gonna get some guard tokens, which is the way you manipulate the dice. And you're gonna get most of the time some of these cards. There are silver cards and gold cards. So if you are the player, you are then, or the monster, you are playing these to make it harder for me to do the things I want to do. And I like that, but it's not hard, but it's kind of very specific timing sequences. So if you don't play it many times, you're gonna sit there, okay, and now it's your turn to do the card, then it's me, I can play one of these, and you can do that. So it kind of like breaks the game. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it holds the game, absolutely. I can tolerate it with 2 players because I'm always doing something when it's your combat, because I am the one doing the monster stuff. But if we were playing with 3 and 4, I would basically be sitting and waiting for people to be done with that part of the game.
There is some rules about there are some cards that you have, so you can basically, I didn't read them completely because we didn't only play with 2, so just take that with a grain of salt. but basically you're going to have some cards with the symbols of the other players.
Oh.
And if I understand correctly, you can basically play it to say that I'm going to be the monster now.
Okay.
So if I have great cards in my hand, for example, and I know I can, and you're doing good, I can say, oh, the other players don't have good cards. Maybe I can sneak in and be the monster.
Yeah, because that is the cool thing about me as the monster player getting points for you losing. It gives me an incentive to actually play my best as the monster character as well.
And also try to get more cards when you do other things.
Yeah.
Because it's a part of the game playing the monster. So I like that. It's different from other things I have seen. Let's talk a bit. We spoke. Is there anything you want to add about the gameplay of this game, or should we go into the next part?
No, but I can see like this working as a solo and cooperative, as you said as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's going to be different cards, like combat cards, that works differently when you play it solo or cooperative. Let's talk a bit about who this game is for and what is the weight of the game.
It's a maybe medium plus game because of all of the stuff.
Yeah.
But as you said, the actions in themselves and the things that you do are fairly simple. But I think like you will see if this game is for you or not, because like you have to be hyped for this fantasy world to explore, and you have to don't mind a bit of luck and randomness as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you see this review and you think this looks awesome, you might like it, but if you see it, I thought it looked awesome, and spoiler alert, I didn't love it, and just check out more reviews, because many people, and I know a lot of solo reviewers really loved it, so just know that. If you want to get it, just so you know, this is not going to be retail, but there is going to be a new Kickstarter in May, so you can go and check that out, and for many of expansions, stuff like that, if you are interested in the game. But now let's do some final thoughts. But before that, if you are new to the channel and if you're getting anything out of this video, out of value, then you can help us out in a big way by giving us a victory point.
And we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video.
And now, final thoughts time for Euthia, Torment of Resurrection.
Well, Euthia isn't a game for me. It's as simple as that. Although I appreciate what they are making, because I love video games, and there's so many times I've thought, okay, but how would this work as a board game, for example? And we see countless of tries trying to make video game stuff into board games, and I have the same trouble with this game as in many others, that for example, all the setup and all the stuff, all the 38 punch board, I don't know, was it more? Something?
No, 38.
I don't see those punch board in a video game. I don't have to set it up in a video game.
No.
So, and also with Euthia, it hasn't a big story or character development that I care so much about. It's leveling up, and you get more abilities and such. That is cool.
Yes.
But it isn't a Princess Peach on the other side that I can like. I want that to.
You need a story, basically.
Yeah, I want a story, and so I think that trying to think about if they could have done it better. I don't think so, actually. I think they've done a really good job, but I've just like realized that this isn't for me.
Yep.
And therefore I'm going to land it on a 5. I think it's an average game. Lots to like here, but for me personally, it's not a game that I want to play.
I had quite high hopes for this game, especially after reading the rules. It gave me, as I already said, but if you're skipping to this part, I'm saying it again, it gives me that Heroes of Might and Magic, that fantasy style PC games that I played growing up, and it works. It works well, and as I said, I think if I ended up getting super heavy into playing solo games, I think this would be a lot of fun. I think that there is many positive things there, but I agree with what you're saying. It didn't grip me as much as I was hoping it would do. I enjoyed my turns, like I enjoyed the things. The luck level is a bit high for me. I do like that there's many ways to like manipulate that, and getting items, getting the gear that gives you abilities, gives you healing, gives you ways to do all these things. But still it felt a bit random, and it feels like just too much to set up to the enjoyment I am getting out of it. As we said in Who Is It For? You have to decide if it's for you. That basically is for every game in all time. But that is my feelings. I'm going to land it at a 6. I think that I liked it, but I'm not going to seek out to play it again. So that's going to be the end. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Sunwa.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.